Welcome to Obsessed with Success, starring Russel Morgan.
Welcome back to Obsessed with Success with Russel Morgan. Russel is the founder and CEO of Morgan Legal Group, a high-performing estate planning firm based in New York. He's also a mentor and strategist, helping attorneys build businesses that are profitable, purposeful, and built to last. My name is Kevin Rosenquist, and in this episode, we'll talk about the systems, questions, and check-ins every lawyer should be doing at least once a year to stay aligned with the life and business they actually want. Russel, it's good to see you. Welcome back.
Kevin, great to be here. It's always good to see you.
Do you have a personal annual review process that helps you reflect and adjust your business or even your life plan?
I definitely have a plan in place, both business and personal. Review should be happening annually, at least for your business, if not quarterly. And we're measuring your KPIs, we're measuring your key performance indicators to see whether you're stagnant, whether you're growing, whether you're expanding, whether you're decreasing in volume or quality of work, and whether this is something that you're comfortable with. And if not, why aren't we reaching our benchmarks? What can we do to improve our processes? And the same goes on your personal planning side. You should be reviewing with your tax preparer, your accountant, your CPA, your personal finances, your personal standing, your expenses, your estate plan as a whole, really on an annual basis, if possible, quarterly. And the same systems we have in place for our company, I take to heart personally. So usually I have a quarterly review on my personal planning, the same way our businesses have a quarterly review on our key performance indicators.
Okay. Personal key performance indicators. PKPIs.
PKPIs.
Took me way longer than it should have. A lot of attorneys are going to focus on growth, but they rarely ask if they're building the right thing. How do you help them think about that differently?
Growth can mean a lot of things to different people. And it starts with, what is your goal here? Growth to one person can mean hyper expansion. I want to be everywhere at the same time with as many clients as possible. To other people, it can mean I want quality, but I don't necessarily need to be everywhere. I want to be extremely focused in one geographic area or one area of practice if you're in the legal field. And it's setting your goals first and making sure that you're celebrating your victories and making sure that you're hitting your benchmarks. So whether your goal is volume, expansion, quality, or maybe a combination of all of the above, that you're not just hitting your markers, but you're cognitive of the fact that you are hitting your targets, you are hitting your goals. And there's a constant review, whether you're in growth mode, expansion, or maybe you're changing the type of clients that you're taking on to see whether what you're doing is working. And as always, your feedback is going to be your best friend. And that may be internal from your staff or your support team, could be external from your clients. Ideally, you have a healthy combination of both to make sure that anything that you do need to work on, you're catching before it becomes an issue.
Let's unpack this a little bit more, talking about the annual review, or you said even better if you could do a quarterly one. What are some of the essential areas, personal, professional, that you believe that every lawyer should really look hard at least once a year?
At a minimum, your growth, if we're talking about, let's say, private practice, how much did you grow this year in revenue? Have you hit your annual growth marker, your annual growth performance indicator? If you haven't, why? What's the reason for it? Why are we stagnant? Is there something that you can improve in your processes to make sure that even if, let's say, you didn't hit your markers this year, that you can increase your productivity by next year to catch up on both what your performance indicator was for this year and next year. So it's always going to come down to your bottom line. Number one, am I hitting our numbers? Am I hitting our gross revenue? Number two, am I keeping costs relatively modest or reasonable, where even with growth, our profits are expanding, so that you're not doing more and effectively keeping your profit margin the same, but with your growth comes additional profit, which gives you more room to grow or more room simply for freedom so that you can hire more support staff and take more of a managerial role. On the personal side, and it's going to have some overlap as always, but you have to have your own markers for what your personal plan looks like. What is your income for the year if you're in private industry? How are you going to get there? Is your portfolio diversified? Are we relying on just your work product? Is there passive income involved? Are we preserving and protecting in case, let's say, there's liability in the future? Have you put all of your planning in motion to make sure that you can limit liability if there's a future problem or lawsuit or issue that you can face? So the indicators are a bit different, but the end result is income and performance, and keeping your performance, keeping those assets preserved, and what we can do to make sure that we maximize that protection.
Are there ways that people can, sort of stay on course throughout the year instead of, well, in addition to doing these annual check-ins or these quarterly check-ins, do you have methods that you use to make those check-ins easier because you've kind of been or at least monitoring it throughout the year?
Make it as religious as you can. Set the dates in advance, months in advance. Plan it out for the year if possible. Have a quarterly meeting with your tax advisor, with your financial advisor, with your management team to make sure that you're on track for year's end. And it's not just about money, it's not just about performance. You have liability, you have employees, you have staff, you have advertising or marketing if you're doing any type of third party distribution, to make sure that your margins make sense. So the more fluid your processes, the better your management team. And when I say management, it doesn't necessarily mean your in-house staff. It's your advisors, your accountants, your financial advisors, your CPAs, your brokers, if you're in the real estate industry, to make sure that they are in tune, and that at least on a quarterly basis, if possible, if not on an annual basis, you're reviewing for the next quarter if you're able to do it quarterly, and you've set that in motion with time. And worst case scenario, that you're reviewing it at least annually so you can plan for the year ahead.
We know a lot of different professions are busy. Lawyers tend to be extremely busy, especially those that have their own practice or are certainly trying to build their own practice. So things like estate planning, financial planning, succession planning, probably, I would imagine, is it fair to say that often falls by the wayside for a lot of lawyers?
It falls by the wayside for a lot of people, period. I can comfortably say that the most people that we believe have it all together usually don't. And most people who are hyper focused on one area of life oftentimes are neglecting others. And that's where things may fall to the wayside. That can be your financial planning, that can be your estate planning, that can be things outside of work. So that's why your advisors, your team are so important. You're only one person. There are only so many hours in the day. And you can be the hardest working person ever. You still need to make sure you can recharge, re-energize, and come back the next day. So the more structured, more goal-oriented, more performance indicators you have in place, the better off you'll be and the more successful you'll be. Because even if you're not exactly hitting 100% of your goals, setting them will get you closer to your goals. So if your marker for the year is, let's just say, I want to make sure that I have 100 new clients before year's end, regardless of whatever industry you're in. that even if we get to 80 or 75, we are still relatively close. You're 70 to 80% of your benchmark. Same thing goes on the personal side. Whether you're looking to increase your annual income or preserve and protect your legacy, or protect assets in the process, mitigate liability, the more structured your plan is, the better you will be. There are so many resources out there. And Morgan Legal, we distribute daily, whether it's blogs, articles, write-ups, videos. There's so much out there. You just have to ask the right questions. And oftentimes people are just either afraid to ask or don't know who to ask. And I'm sure that, like with most people, especially in the professional industry, you have someone that you could pick up the phone and say, hey, I need a referral. I need to be able to speak to this kind of person about this type of issue. And that's where it starts. A lot of this really is network based. And once you have your team in place, it's their job as much as it is your job, and vice versa, to make sure that you're sticking to your plan. So your quarterly meetings must take place. Your annual meetings must take place. Same way that you're monitoring your performance indicators, you're making sure that you're hitting your markers way in advance.
You talked about being goal oriented. I think sometimes it's hard for people to think of goals, maybe more granular goals. Do you feel like people should try to narrow it down, or is having broad goals an okay way to go about it?
We can't just say, I want to be successful, or I want to put an estate plan in place.
Yeah.
Right? We have to have some specificity here. What does success mean to you? Is it a certain amount of money per year? Is it freedom to travel or move around however you please, or work from wherever you want to? Is it all of the above? But we have to have specificity on what our goals are. And if you want to make a certain amount of money per year, that needs to be your goal. Same goes on your personal side. You have to set specific goals. Now, lawyers, being in the industry that we're in, we are grossly overworked. Most lawyers today are, as you said, extremely busy. But you have to find a place to slow down and understand that after a certain point, you can only control the things that are within your control. And you need to be able to get up in the morning and help people. So getting to a point of burnout is a very real thing in our industry, especially when we get into the younger generation that are cutting their teeth and making a name for themselves. And this is where people get into trouble, that those same habits are very hard to break. So you have to be cognizant of the fact that at a certain point, you've done what you can for the day, set your goals and expectations, organize yourself moving forward, and rest. Ultimately, if you can't be at 100% the following day, you can't help your clients, you can't help your business, and you can't help your personal.
I've known people who were lawyers and got burned out and did something completely different, like just total about face, because they got burned out.
Yeah, completely understandable.
So when you see someone, who is good at doing the annual reviews, quarterly reviews, and someone who doesn't, what kind of differences do you see between those two people?
You're going to see structure with the former, and unfortunately, a lot of disorganization with the latter. It's very hard for you to stay organized when you don't know what your goals are. And if you're not tracking them, let's just say even on an annual basis, how do you know if you're doing better or worse or same? What is better for you? What does that even mean? What do you need to know for you to understand I'm improving in my business, in my personal, or in both? And that's what the biggest problem is either you'll see a very high level of disorganization or stagnation, and both are equally detrimental. One, you have no structure. Two, you're not improving. So if we can't have that structure in place, and it doesn't have to be exhaustive, it can be a 20-minute meeting with your team once every 3 months. Let's be frank. We'll find an excuse if we don't want to do it. We'll find a reason if we want to do it,
Very
right?
good point.
So if we're looking at it from that perspective, if you're not doing it, it's because you found a reason why you don't want to do it. If it's in place, you've made it your mission. You've made it a goal to be structured, to make sure that your organization, even mentally, that you're prepared and you're setting real goals and expectations in your mind. Positive affirmations are very real. So specific goals go hand in hand. If we're reaching for X and your mentality is, I will get to X by this year, you will more likely than not be there. It's a state of mind. And that is across the board, personal and business. So the more specific our goals are in your business and in your personal life, the more structured and organized and the better results you have, the higher your likelihood of success in actually achieving your goals.
I have no doubt that some people listening to this might say, I have not done this in a decade. I don't even know where to start. This is such a daunting thought to even try to sit down and organize myself, organize my goals, organize my structure, get structured. Do you have any practical advice for somebody on how to get started, or a good jumping off point for something like that?
Call Morgan Legal. That's the simplest answer that I can give you, because it really starts with a conversation. There is no wrong answer. I've spoken to thousands of clients that will call me with exactly that. I don't know what I need. This is what I'm working with. This is what I have. Guide me in the right direction. And that's your job as a professional. It's not necessarily to steer someone left or right, is to be able to present options. Mm-hmm. So that people have the ability to make educated decisions. It's your duty to provide available resources so that aside from them actually receiving advice from you, they can verify it from an independent source and then come back to you and tell you, out of what you've presented, this is what makes the most sense. And this is not only because you've explained it so well, but I've done my own research and I've verified and I've confirmed that for me, this meets my goal. It meets my expectations. And this is what would work best for me. And your job as a professional at that point is to implement and make sure that it's done as well as possible.
Well, I think that's really great advice. And every time I talk to you, Russell, I always come away going, he's giving me something to think about. So if nothing else, you're helping me as a podcast host. So I'm happy you can do that. All right. Well, success isn't just about how fast you're growing. It's about whether you're growing in the right direction. An audit helps you course correct, recommit, realign your business with your life. To learn more about Russell's strategy for sustainable growth, visit morganlegalny.com. He's also all over social media at morganlegalny. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share Obsessed with Success with anyone who you think could use this kind of a reset. Russell, thank you so much. As always, good to see you.
Likewise, Kevin. Till next time.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.